Talk TV. Charlie and my co-host along with Mark.
And Joe.
We say that because sometimes we forget our own names. Hello everybody and welcome to the latest edition of Fish Talk TV. And hey, we want to say a special hello to Renee out there who celebrated her
Happy birthday.
29th birthday on the 23rd of June. We want to make sure we remember her. Also, if you have someone special that you want to send out hello, we'd be glad to do that for you too. Just email us at trycharlie@fishsj.com. You can simply go up here on the top and you'll find our emails. And by all means, send that to us. We'll be glad to give a shout out to you. As we normally do, we also want to give a special hello and say hi to Tom P. from Rack and Fin Radio over 97.3 ESPN down at the shore. He's always done a good job. He was part of our team and visited us when we were doing Fish Talk Radio, if you remember.
Yeah, years ago.
Yeah, he was at that time representing Missouri Line. Remember?
Yeah, he bought some samples.
Yeah.
Still use it.
So do I. But he has his own show now, and he does a great job. Truly great job. So we want to say a hello to Tom. I hope all's going well. Gentlemen, let's get right into our fishing report. Joe, I'll let you kind of start off with the trip from the Cape May Reef.
Yeah, we did pretty good. Well, we didn't get any keepers, but at least we had a nice day. Beautiful day, beautiful weather. Tides were perfect, and some of us caught fish.
Yeah.
Guess who didn't? I caught my limit. I caught my normal limit. None.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't do much better. I got one.
Well, remember as much as me.
We did the inland waterway, and then we did a couple areas out there in the canal, in the Cape May Canal, and we got that one short flounder out there. But the tides were wrong, and it seemed like the winds were against us no matter where we were when we were out there in the canal or in the intercoastal waterway. And as soon as we moved off to the Cape May Reef, we got to the point where we didn't have to worry about the wind and the direction. We had the ability to drift, quite a long distance.
Yeah.
We had a great time out there.
Yeah, in fact, the first fish I caught was that black sea bass. That's the earliest I've caught a black sea bass because we were out by the reef.
And how big was that?
It was 12 inches. It needed a half inch more to be keeper, but that was one of the biggest black sea bass I caught early in the season.
Well, certainly got out there and that water was just spectacular in color.
Beautiful color of water. It was so clear. We were able to see our lures, or actually our baits going down, 15 feet at least.
Yeah.
Remember you had that bad batch of squid that you had sitting in the boat from a week before.
When you threw that in, and I had my sunglasses in, and I could see that just going down and just glistening on down 15 foot underneath the water.
And again, it was because we were in such deep water, I guess about 60 foot of water, you weren't getting reflection from the sun coming back up to give you that blue color, so it looked blue-black.
Yes.
But it was actually crystal clear.
Well, Joe, you did pretty good after all they were shorts. You got, 3, 4?
We had 4 flounder and a 10, 12-inch black sea bass, and many other hits as well. Mark,
of course, got a sea bass, and I got butkus. Now, the butkus fish is a very special fish. It's what I normally catch.
Well, it was beautiful out there.
Hey, let's take a look at some of the clips from some of our recent trips. I hope you have fun and enjoy them.
Joe's got a nice fish. Oh, he's got a nice fish.
He's up.
At the Cape May Reef. And hopefully it's something nice. Yeah, it's a small little flounder.
One more.
Yeah.
Am I there?
Yeah. There we go. And Charlie's catch for the day. Hey, nice shell, Chow.
That was a live one.
Yes. With hair.
Okay, hope you enjoyed that. You noticed that Joe caught fish and Mark caught fish, and I caught my usual butkus fish. So But we'll try to give you snippets on a regular basis. Every time we go out, we'll take some a little bit of photos to show you what we did.
Yeah, make sure you take a look at the gallery as well, because on there we may have a few fish and a few other shots that we had stills that we'll have on there, as well as the videos. That
Good point. And where are they? They're up here.
Over here.
Yes, they are. So click on some of the buttons. I think you'll see something nice, especially the photo area. Other fish being caught from the fishermen and some other folks are talking about weekies, which I haven't heard of for a long, long time. Down at the pump grounds, specifically at night, which is kind of interesting. Now, weak fish at night is kind of common, but I haven't heard really any weak fish down in our direction for a long time.
I mean, are they getting numbers, or just somebody caught one?
No, they didn't say numbers, they said weak fish.
Okay.
Now that could be singular.
That's two or more.
Fish, fishes down at the pump grounds. The other thing is down at the old grounds, of course. It's about 20 miles due south out of the Cape May Canal. They're getting lots of flounder, as they normally do.
Charlie, on the old grounds, do you need a Delaware license to fish out there?
You better have one. And if you remember Mark's comments 2 or 3 shows ago, that if you didn't have one, you best get one. And of course, to emphasize that, Mark has developed a few cartoons, and if you go up here and click on there's resources, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it is.
You'll find some of Mark's cartoons as to what happens if you don't have one. I think
Actually, it's under the jokes, on the same page.
the jokes, yes. Well, both are jokes anyway. So I think you'll enjoy that. We want to do some special reports. We always kid about Joe always catching the most and me catching the least. While that's true, there's also a reason. I think Joe has some experience that we'd like to share with you that makes it worthwhile and actually increases his catch. Specifically, Joe, talking about terminal tackle. Now, I use a lot of terminal tackle because I find it's easy to clip things on, clip things off. I can change lures quickly. I can change whatever it is that I need. However, I don't catch any fish. So, conversely, I was watching you this past trip out to the Cape May Reef, and you use nothing.
I do use a snap swivel at the end of my leader line, at the end of my line, before I go on to my terminal tackle. But that's so far up, as you saw from my my setup, that it's almost invisible to the fish. One reason I do the lack of any metal or other types of structure in my setup that I use is because even though we think of fish as being non-selective, if they see something that may not be in place of what they may see as natural, they'll back off on it. Things such as large quantities of metal that click and knock and whatever under the water.
It's like when I'm throwing in tin cans. That's
Oh, a lot of things make those sounds, shrimp, etc., click and whatever. But unless they see something like that in the water with it, they're going to think that there's something else going on, or just any other sound will make them run. So what I like to do is I use as little terminal tackle as possible. At the end of my actual line, I tie a surgeon's loop, and on that surgeon's loop, I just loop that through onto a snap that I use to go onto what I have as a recent video, that if you go onto the resources page or the video page, you'll be able to see the short video I did on that. And really all that is a piece of terminal, what we call the monofilament, but it's leader material. It's heavier, it's stiffer, and it doesn't have the same bend as other monofilament. What it allows me to do is to set up my hook where I want it. And as you see from mine, Charlie, I stay as bare as possible. I don't go as low as Mark does by just using, say, a bucktail. But in essence, it's like that. I'm using either a bucktail or a weight on the bottom as my line to keep my stretch down. But what I'm using is a dropper loop. And a dropper loop is a very simple thing that's been used by bass fishermen in freshwater for a long time. And essentially it's just a piece of leader material with your hook hanging off the side, somewhere at some measured distance off.
How far from the leader material, the vertical line, is your hook?
Well, I like to use a very small, as small as I possibly can.
Small space.
Between the end of my leader material and the terminal end of my hook. The reason being, imagine you've got a line coming down, and then perpendicular to that you have your hook. The larger that triangle that you make, again, what you're doing when you set your hook and pull it, that distance, the hypotenuse of that triangle, the longer that is, the further you have to pull up. The shorter my leg of that triangle, the less that hypotenuse will be.
Oh, that's
so
interesting.
the shorter my hook set. So when I use my 6 or 8 inch leadered hook that I use, I only have a very short distance to go. The fish don't need 3 foot of line out there. That's something I think is sold to them because someone's trying to sell monofilament. I mean, there's so much leader material in most of the flounder rigs today. I reuse those on mine and retie my stell line with them. So that's you know what I do to keep it down. I keep it as minimal so there's no sight problems, and I also keep it as simple as possible. So when it comes time to retie something, I don't have a lot of things to change.
At the bottom, you just use a sinker weight, or you're using a lure?
It depends upon where I'm at and what I'm doing. Most times I use a bucktail. I use your 1, 2, or 3 ounce bucktail. You don't catch anything with a sinker, but you can catch something with a bucktail.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So if something's going to strike the bucktail, I have at least 2 hooks in the water. But sometimes it's so deep I need 4 or 5 ounces, and I normally don't carry bucktails that big.
What I've also noticed on your setup is that if we're fishing in a lot of weeds, the more hardware you have, the more weeds seem to cling right to that hardware.
And it's always the bottom
Yeah.
too. You know, it's my
Yeah.
bucktail at the bottom gathers it. My hook that's up about 10 inches off the bottom where I put my dropper loop normally is free of weeds. But of course, as soon as you get weeds on the bottom, it starts to pull because of the resistance in the water as you're pulling. So that's one of the reasons why I try and keep it as minimal as possible.
Well, catching fish is not anything that I have experience with. Not that I don't try, but when I do catch fish, in the past I've had a measuring stick where I have something from, you know, one of the, like Sea-Tow or somebody puts it on the deck and I'm measuring fish. And I know that certain fish are a certain size so that I look down and it either fits the criteria or it doesn't. However, Mark, I guess I'd like to address this because a lot of times I'm measuring wrong.
That's true. In fact, especially for flounder, I've had experience, actually a couple of my friends gotten caught measuring the fish incorrectly. And because of that, they wound up being a ½ inch short and wound up getting fined for it. Specifically for flounder, you've got to remember to close that mouth of that fish. If you're measuring it with that mouth open, there's that extra ½ inch. That, bingo, that's what got them. Back in the day, it was 17-inch limit, and basically the fish was 16½ inch, but the mouth was open, making it 17-inch.
You measure from the V or you measure from the far tail?
Well, from the when you're looking at the tail, of course, actually the tail should be closed, or the very
Well,
very
for
tip.
flounder, it doesn't matter because the center of the tail is the widest. It has a round tail. But for things like
For bass, you've got to fold down the tail and you take from the top either to top of it or bottom of fin. But for the flounder, you got to make sure that mouth is closed because that extra ½ inch with that mouth open can get you in a lot of trouble if you're talking about just barely legal.
Well, the fish the flounder I've caught in the recent years, the fish would have to have a 4-inch lip. So
it's just funny because Donna at our marina had shown me an article in one of the fishing magazines that they have this, it's called a fish stretcher. And I said, that can't be legal, I don't know. But they literally have this device that supposedly you put the fish on to stretch it. And I said, we got to investigate that.
Braces back.
well, that's Donna's down there at north of Brigham.
At North Point.
At North Point. Hey, Donna, it's us. Hello. Guys, I hate to say this, but time's gone by so fast. This week's show is just about up. So I guess it's time to pull our anchor and head back to the dock and call it another show for this week. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll do this as often as we can. And if you have something to say, email us. If you got someone to shout out to, email us that too. And we'll see you next time. So for Fish Talk TV, I'm Charlie.
I'm Mark.
And I'm Joe.
Goodbye.